Have you ever wondered what it looks like for a falcon stooping to the lure? I've had this idea for years now to put a camera on the back of a falcon. Putting a camera on a bird is not a new concept. If you search here on YouTube, you'll find some really cool videos. But typically, these videos include eagles. And while an eagle can fly very quickly at times, they spend most of their time just soaring around in the air. I want to put a camera on the world's fastest animal. Now you might wonder, if I've wanted to do this for years, why haven't I? And that's to do with camera technology. This is a DJI action camera, and this is typically what's used along with GoPros on the back of an eagle. It's a small camera, and it doesn't affect the eagle at all, but it's still way too big to put on the back of a falcon. And that's when I discovered this. This is the Insta 360 Go 2. It's small enough so that it doesn't disrupt the falcon's wing beats, and it's 100 grams less than the DJI action camera and the GoPros. So in this video, I'm going to be doing something that I've wanted to do for years. I'm going to train my falcon to carry a camera. Now, for an animal that only weighs 900 grams, a 26-gram camera can still be quite heavy, especially when they've spent millions of years evolving to have a lightweight body for powered flight. So I wasn't going to just rush out and buy the Insta 360 Go 2, I wanted to make sure it was going to work before I did. I started by having the peregrine backpacked. If you're unfamiliar with backpacking, it's probably not what you're thinking. She doesn't wear a little rucksack when she goes out to fly, it's just another mounting system. She has a cross of ribbon around her body, and the mounting system is held in the middle of her back. Most of my birds are tail mounted, and it's the exact same clip. But this camera is too heavy to go on her tail, and it probably won't make the best video anyway, so I had to have her backpacked. And in order to test this without actually buying the Insta 360, we 3D printed a model of the camera, and we hollowed it out so I could fill it with weights so that it could weigh the exact same as the actual camera. We found a 3D model of the camera online and split it in half so that we could hollow it out. The idea was to gradually weight train the peregrine, but I wasn't expecting the 3D print to weigh 19 grams. I filled it with sand, and as if we planned it, it came to 26 grams, the exact same weight as the camera. And the next step was to try and work out how to mount the camera to her backpack. This is a mounting clip. This is what's used to attach the telemetry to the mounting system, and this is just a spare one that I pulled off a tail guard. And this is a backpack clip. I sat for ages thinking about how I was going to attach the camera to the backpack mount. I got paper clips and tried bending them into a shape so that they would hold the camera, thinking I could then glue them to the tail mount clip, but it just wouldn't hold it solidly enough. I couldn't figure out a way to hold the camera nice and still, but still make it easy enough to take the camera off the bird once she'd finished flying. I went through loads of designs and ideas until I finally figured out that the backpack mount perfectly holds a cable tie. Sometimes the most simple solutions are the best. As she's still new to wearing the backpack and I have not yet mounted anything to it, I hooded her while attaching the camera. She was a little bit fidgety, but it went on a lot easier than I was expecting. And this is completely harmless to her, so ignore her shrieks, she's just a bit of a drama queen. I had no idea how the 26 grams on her back would affect her, so I wanted to start really easy by just seeing if she could jump to the glove from a perch. It didn't even seem to affect her, so I did a few jumps to get her used to taking off with the weight. Next, I wanted to try and fly her. There was no point waiting around when she showed no notice of the weight whilst jumping to the glove. She took off with her usual amount of power and came straight for the lure, so I tried a pass. And this is where you can see it starts to affect her. Instead of climbing any height, she flew really close to the ground. But it was her first ever attempt, and the fact that she still flew impressed me enough. The next day she did a lot better. I did one pass and then she managed to climb enough to fly above a tree. I didn't leave her in the air long because I didn't want her to get tired and land before catching the lure. Okay, so at this point she's spent a few days flying with the model, and while she's not showing anything spectacular, she's still managing to fly with it. So I think it's about time to actually buy the camera. And then I decided to just give it a go. Originally, the plan for this video was to not show you any of the footage from her back until the very end, and I just wanted to show the last best flight of her gaining a lot of height and doing a massive big stoop down. But we hadn't even got to that point in training before we even bothered with any of these cameras, so it's really going to be quite difficult to get to that point with the camera now, and it's going to take a long time. So instead, in this video, I'm going to show you lots of different videos of the process of her getting better and more confident with the camera over time. The first day had everything going against her. She had just had a few days off whilst I saw family in York. She had never carried the real thing before, and it was raining, and I don't believe I'd flown her in the rain at this point yet. But as a first ever flight with a camera, with all of that against her, I was very pleased. I did push her quite hard on the first day, and I tried to get a second flight, and after 2 passes she was too tired and she just landed. So then I picked her up and just dropped the lure, letting her just jump down to it for a good reward. I flew her for quite a few days whilst wearing the camera, and I even managed to get some really cool slow-mo footage. The annoying thing about this camera is it only films slow-mo in portrait mode, so make sure you follow our Instagram account because that's where I'll be uploading a lot of videos of this slow-mo footage. And with all of these days of flying, I was expecting to see a bit more improvement than she was showing. She was really struggling to gain any sort of height. And then one day I decided to just take her out and just give her some exercise without wearing the camera. And she just shot up in the air and I was not expecting it. So the next day I put the camera back on her and this is the footage that I got. Now you can see in that video that she actually started to gain some height. It's not an enormous amount of height and it's not for very long, but it's a start. And in order to gain fitness, your muscles need time to relax and repair themselves. So perhaps giving her that day off without the camera, allowing her to be a bit freer, just gave her muscles that chance to relax. And so the next day she came back and she was much stronger and able to take the camera up a bit more. Now with all of that in mind, the new plan is to continue flying her with the camera, but on alternative days. So one day she'll be wearing the camera, the next day she won't, and so on and so on. And hopefully this will teach her to start to gain height wearing that camera. enjoyed using this little camera over the past couple of weeks, and I'm really impressed with its features and how well it's handled being thrown around by the Peregrine. And features like this means it's going to be so easy for me to take you with me whilst I'm flying my birds. I'm also really pleased with the Peregrine and how well she's handled it, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the future. I really did want a massive stoop to finish off this video, but unfortunately it's just not that easy, and she's going to take a lot of training to get there. So this is going to be part one of a series of videos so that you can follow her progress and the techniques that I'm going to be using to get her to go high up in the air with this camera. So if you haven't already, then make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on those future videos. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, then please leave it as a comment. I'll do my best to reply. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like. And as always, thank you for watching.